Yo, happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. So much to get to, so let's waste no time. According to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia, there is mutual interest between the Eagles and Darius Slay for a potential reunion. Are the Eagles going to make a big change on the back end of their secondary on defense going into Monday night against the Chargers? Jordan Mailata saying this week that the 2025 Eagles are not the 2023 Eagles, which lost 6 of 7 games to end the year. And last night, Hard Knocks NFC East in-season edition showed that Jalen Hurts is actually a leader, contrary to what some people have said out there with a microphone in front of a camera. But of course, not me here on this show because we keep it 100. Adam Schefter breaking the news yesterday that the Steelers and cornerback Darius Slay mutually agreed to part ways. Slay is interested in continuing to play and will consider signing with other teams, but his time with the Steelers has come to an end. Going into 2025 during free agency, he had signed a one-year $10 million deal with the Steelers, and we're talking about a player who's been a 6-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, one of the top corners in the game for a long time. Why did it go wrong in Pittsburgh? He didn't necessarily fit the scheme. That defense as a whole is supposed to be the strength of the Steelers under Mike Tomlin. It's been pretty bad all year. TJ Watt looks old. The secondary is old and struggling. And the Steelers a couple of weeks ago added Asante Samuel Jr. to their practice squad. They elevated him to the game day roster for Sunday's game against Buffalo. Darius Slay was a healthy scratch, so that move kind of made Slay a little bit expendable, plus Samuel is the younger player, and so at this point, with Slay saying going into this year, this was going to be his final year, they mutually agree to part ways. Slay can go somewhere else where he perhaps fits that defense, and he can make one more run at a potential championship. Is that going to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles? John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, as I said a little bit earlier, reported this morning on this Wednesday, December 3rd. He's hearing there is mutual interest with Darius Slay and the Eagles if he clears waivers. Now, last night, everybody's favorite Twitch streamer, Janky Rondo, who is kind of an Eagles insider at this point. A.J. Brown went on his Twitch stream the other week, and obviously that made a lot of headlines. And then Slay went on the Twitch stream last night, and Rondo called Slay while live after finding out he got waived, and here's how that dialogue went. Rondo asked Slay if he was going to sign with a team that, quote, wears green and black. So he didn't say the Eagles. I don't think he's talking about the Jets here, ladies and gentlemen. And then Slay responded by saying, we gon' see. I got nothing but love for my city. Now, it's important to note that Slay has to clear through waivers before he'd be eligible to sign with the Eagles. But we talked about this breaking news last night. I put up a couple of videos on X, Instagram, TikTok. Give me a follow at Chase_Senior. And a lot of people were asking, Chase, is this even possible? It is possible if Slay clears waivers. And I think this move would make a lot of sense for the Eagles. Howie Roseman going into the deadline, and even prior to the year when he traded for Jacorian Bennett, looked at corner as a position of need. Keely Ringo didn't really develop. Adoree Jackson is who he is. And so Howie traded for Jacorian Bennett prior to the season. And then going into the deadline, traded for Jair Alexander. Traded for Michael Carter. Well, Jair Alexander stepped away. Howie is still looking at corner as a need. I don't think that has changed. And Slay, is he older? Yes. Is he washed? I'm not going to say that because last year I thought he played well for the Eagles, but it just didn't work out with Pittsburgh. But that whole team is struggling, right? The Steelers adding Asante Samuel didn't help matters for Slay and his standing with that Steelers defense. And look, we're looking at a secondary right now where Philadelphia could still use cornerback depth. Number 1 defense in the NFL last year, the Eagles. Their cornerback trio, Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, Darius Slay on the other side, Cooper DeJean in the slot. You could run it back for this stretch run here. Now, Slay in 2025 definitely struggled a little bit with the Steelers. An overall PFF grade of 58.3, 71st out of 110 corners. Coverage grade of 58.6, 69th. He gave up 28 catches, missed 7 tackles. That was a problem for him with the Steelers. And throughout his career, he hasn't been known as a physical tackler, not as bad as Asante Samuel Sr., but not a great tackler in open space. Had 3 pass breakups and no picks. But I thought last year, Slay with the Birds played good football. And this is coming off a 2023 season where he had to get that knee surgery, tried to battle through it prior to that surgery, and didn't play that well. But he had an overall grade in the green of 67.6. That was 48th. That's borderline starting caliber. Coverage grade, starting caliber at 68.9. He had 12 pass breakups, 3rd in the NFL, and he had 442 coverage snaps. So the sample size was pretty good there. And here's where his final season ranked compared to his career. Slay's completion rate allowed, 47.1%, career best. 371 yards allowed, career best. Yards per attempt given up, 5.5, career best. 20-plus yard completions, 3, a career best. First downs allowed, 15, a career best. Pass breakup rate, 19.1%, also tops for his career. So I saw somebody on TikTok say, did you watch him last year with the Eagles? He got burnt time and time again. The numbers say otherwise. The film shows otherwise. And I thought that Slay played really good ball, especially in the playoffs, where his PFF numbers actually elevated when it became crunch time. Now get involved. Let your voices be heard. If you want the Eagles to bring back Darius Slay, I want you to comment Slay down in the comment section right now. Now, this move the Eagles made yesterday, as we segue and transition to this, and I said yesterday, underrated, under-talked about move for this Eagles defense, that the Eagles open up the practice window for Marcus Epps and release defensive back Perry Nickerson from the practice squad. Why do I think this is an underrated move for the Eagles? Because I had mentioned yesterday, do not be surprised if he gets some snaps at that safety position alongside Reed Blankenship. Andrew Makuba most likely out for the year. Sidney Brown is who he is. He's a downhill physical safety who over-pursues a lot. That's been the MO on him in his NFL career. Fun to watch because he will run through a brick wall for you, but he's overly aggressive. What happened against Chicago? Same issues. And I think Epps is a player who has been with this team, has familiarity with this defense, and I think Vic Fangio trusts him a little bit more. And here's what Vic Fangio said this morning, that Epps could potentially start next to Reed Blankenship if he's healthy enough. And early this year, when the Epps signing happened and when the Eagles brought him back, he was the 3rd safety ahead of Sidney Brown, behind Blankenship and behind Makuba. Some more from Fangio here. What happened to Jahad Campbell? Didn't play against the Chicago Bears. And this doesn't really surprise me because of how well Nakobe Dean has played. Fangio said that Campbell, who played a lot to start the year when Nakobe was hurt, didn't play against the Bears because of all of the Eagles' issues against the run. And because Nakobe Dean has always been looked at as a pretty good run-defending linebacker. And because of how well Dean has played since he's come back, he's gotten more snaps. The snap counts have gone down for Jahad Campbell. I'm not too concerned about this. Campbell's like 21 years old to start the year. He was one of the highest graded rookies, according to PFF. But this defense has started to play really well, with the exception of the last 2 games, with Nakobe Dean out there. There's still a place for Jahad on this team, and I think Fangio is going to try to get him some more snaps. He even said against Chicago he could have done a better job in hindsight of giving him some more time. Do you love the Eagles? If that is the case, and you want Eagles coverage that is elite every single day, year-round, right here on YouTube, the solution is simple. Hit that subscribe button here on the show. As you can see, we're 355 people away from 139,000 subscribers. Still to come here on Eagles Now. Jordan Mailata, who has really struggled this year, said the 2025 Eagles are not the 2023 Eagles. What are the differences? Mailata got into that. Also, Hard Knocks showing last night that Jalen Hurts is a leader. But today's show, sponsored by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up with the #1 sportsbook today, and you'll notice that the code is Sixers related. That's because DraftKings is a sponsor of our 76ers channel, which producer Chip hosts. So here he is talking more about what DraftKings has to offer.
We're only a few weeks in, and the NBA season is already wild. Stars are going off, rookies are making noise, and the action doesn't stop. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is where you can get in on all of it. Don't forget, the Emirates NBA Cup is rolling along. Big moments, big matchups, and a whole lot on the line. Don't miss out. Jump in and bet on the action today. New customers, bet just $5 and get $200 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
All right, some parlay action here. Chips picks 12-1. Saquon Barkley touchdown against the Chargers. Ladd McConkey touchdown. Eagles -3. Odds and lines subject to change. So Jordan Mailata, left tackle for the Eagles, who last year was one of the top tackles in the game and has really struggled this year, said on Monday night on WIP, the 2025 Eagles nowhere close to the 2023 team that lost 6 of 7 games to end the year. Here's a direct quote, then we'll react to it. I'll tell you right now, this is nowhere near close to 2023. Let's nip that in the bud right there. At least as a player in the locker room that was part of the 2023 team and part of this team, it's nowhere near. Nowhere near. I'm telling you now, the way we go is our in-game execute. Oh, sorry. Or wait, did I get that right? Oh, yeah, I'm telling you now, the way we go about our practice, the detail, although we're not winning games, I shouldn't even say that. We've won 8 games. I shouldn't even say that. I think the way we attack every day with the attention to detail, I would probably say the detail right now is in our in-game execution. That is lacking. Now, we can go back to practice, and that will probably be a big emphasis of putting ourselves in these situations where they keep hurting us in games. That's all you can do. I feel like it wasn't there in 2023. It is there this year. The coaching technique, it's there this year. It wasn't there in 2023. So I just want to dead it if you know where that came from. I want to dead it right then and there. Maybe as a fan, but I can tell you now as a player, this is completely different from 2023. I don't even want to go there. I kind of said that earlier in the year, week 1, week 2, week 3. I said it during the season, and I was like, what an idiot. I don't even know why I said that. It's not even true, because even the way we go about practice, padded practices, no walkthrough Wednesdays. The only walkthrough Wednesdays we've had are during short weeks, and that's all we had. So Jordan Mailata can say that, and that's cool, right? But one thing is for sure. If the Eagles choke at the end of this year and collapse like they did in 2023, the comparisons are going to be justified and the comparisons are going to be talked about. Now, I do think the difference, the huge one between 2023 and 2025 is this defense. The defense then was horrific. It was awful. It was a bad, bad defense. It was older. It wasn't that talented. There weren't a lot of young players. They just weren't dynamic from a defensive standpoint. You also didn't have Vic Fangio then. You had Matt Patricia and Sean Desai. This year, you do have Vic Fangio. And so the defense is so much better. This offense, though, it's mystifying how bad it's been. I mean, they returned 10 of 11 starters for a team that won the Super Bowl last year. The only replacement was that right guard, Mekhi Becton gone, Tyler Steen in, and yet they've still been one of the worst units in the NFL. So I think there's some truth to what Mailata said, but at the end of the day, if the Eagles collapse here for the final 5 weeks on top of the 2 weeks in which they've lost back-to-back games, and they somehow lose this division and the Cowboys win it, Cowboys are hot, hottest team in the NFC. They've won 3 games in a row. We're going to be talking about a second late season collapse for the Eagles in the span of 3 years, and that's also not a good look on Nick Sirianni. So last night, the in-season Hard Knocks for the NFC East debuted, and there was one big takeaway from the episode, and it was the clip of when Jalen Hurts missed Devontae Smith on that critical play that could have gone for a touchdown, and it was a little bit of a miscommunication. I talked about that during the watch party. I think Hurts was expecting Smitty to maybe sit on the route. Smitty went with the in-breaker. It looked like a little bit of an option route potentially. Either way, Hurts missed the throw. There was a miscommunication. And the clip shows Jalen Hurts very frustrated with him missing that throw. But then he's really annoyed on the sideline, cursing at himself, saying he effed up, apologized to Devontae Smith. Then he went up to pretty much the entire offense and said, "That's on me. I missed it. My bad." And for some reason, for a quarterback whose leadership has never come into question, for whatever reason, it's come into question this season. There are people on the radio, people on some of their YouTube channels, on social media saying, Jalen Hurts isn't a leader. Jalen Hurts is phony. And the new Russell Wilson, he's kind of corny. Teammates don't like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts makes a mistake, misses Devontae Smith. He takes accountability for it, which is what you want to see from your quarterback, and he apologized to his teammates. You know what that is? That is leadership. There's no doubt that Jalen Hurts needs to be better, but I will never question his leadership because that is one of his strengths as a football player. Another cool note, in the office of Nick Sirianni, instead of a nameplate, his nameplate reads, "Do epic shit." I love that type of mentality. That's how you approach the game of football, how you approach being the coach of the Eagles, how we should all approach life. That's how I approach doing content every single day here on the show. I like that mentality. Now for the final 5 weeks, Nick Sirianni, it's time for you and your team to do epic shit as well. Be sure to give me a follow on all of my social media pages. I'm on X, closing in on 20,000 followers. Instagram, closing in on 43,000 followers. The TikTok's starting to take off a little bit, 4 away from 600. Give me a follow on all of these platforms. I'm giving you so much Eagles content on top of what we're doing here, right here on YouTube.